An owlbear is the most biological nightmare I've ever had the displeasure to read about. Where in the scale are they from owl to bear? First, they have both feathers and fur. I looked it up. Some of them do have bones that are hollow. Why? They don't fly. But in all fairness, I guess not all birds fly. Owlbears lay eggs, and the things they eat are berries, greens, and small prey. Things that are smaller than them. Well, let's be honest, that's a lot of stuff. The only thing that I learned during my investigation is that they have a fondness for honey. So I guess that's more on the bear side, opposed to the egg stuff. Now, I don't think we'll ever know in terms of what scale they are in, but I learned this little factoid while doing my investigation. The flavor of, I'm quoting here, the flavor of owlbear meat depends heavily on its diet, with its tasting reflecting its last known meal. It has little examples like springtimes. They eat greens and berries, which means their meat is tender and mild. And if it's fall, before hibernation, they gorge on fish, which means they have a foul taste. So above table, next time the barbarian wants to eat about owlbear, count up the tallies you have on them.
Which ours has.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone, players, DMs, TTRPG enthusiasts to Above Table. For those sitting through our intro, hey, congratulations, you earned advantage on your next roll. I'm joined by my wonderful players here. We're not players, we're just talking here. We've got Amber.
Hello.
Nick.
Hi there.
And new to the channel, Humphrey. Hi.
Howdy.
Humphrey, where can people find you?
Pretty much anywhere and everywhere. If you can remember how to spell Humphrey, Wendell, Wickham all in one go, because I can't sometimes. You could probably find me a lot easier on TikTok under the name Fortuna's Favor. There's a little link tree in that. Takes you to everything I'm on. YouTube, Twitch, OnlyFans. Not really. But yeah, there's a lot of places online that I probably don't keep up with. So, but they are out there.
I had this, well, first and foremost, I had two thoughts. Fortuna's Favor, what is that in reference to?
Well, Fortuna is just the Latin word for fortune. So technically the little apothecary tea shop that I do on TikTok is just technically Fortune's Favor. And that's pretty much as far as that thought ever went. It just sounded neat.
No, I like it. I love it. Second thought I have is that...
real deep things.
Right. Second thought is, you technically don't need to do spicy work on OnlyFans. I wonder if it'd be really funny for someone to be really into TTRPGs and hide a lot of their stuff behind the paywall, and people expecting it to spice be. It's like, no, it's just maps.
It is a possibility, but I have had a joke OnlyFans on my mind for years, but the more desperate I get financially, the more I'm like, that might not be a bad idea.
Right.
It would be called the charcuterie board, and it would just be me in a weird S&M outfit and slapping meats and cheeses on my belly and rating the sound. And I'm hoping that people would pay me enough money to not do it.
Right. So that way it just infests their feed. I get it. Well, here on Above Table, we talk about all sorts of things. We've talked about class general things. We've talked about the importance of discussions amongst the party and other stuff. Today, we've got a few lists of topics in mind. First and foremost, maybe something that I'm kind of fallen into this trap is, how much is too much prep work from the GM? Back in my Artificer DM days, I used to categorize it in three ways. You were a bullet point GM, you were a full novel GM, or you were a wing it. You were a full improv GM. So maybe that's an accurate description of how people prep for their sessions. I don't know. Like, does anyone feel like they fit in those categories?
I'll let Nick go.
What was the second one? Bullet point, and then what was the second one?
Bullet point. It was bullet point.
Novel.
It was novel, and then there was improv.
Improv. Okay, yeah. I mean, so I guess of those, it's bullet point. I mean, I've been doing it long enough, and like, when I set a new thing up, I usually start with like duplicating a thing I had before, and then I like, how many bullet points did I have? What information did I need? What did I not need? And start replacing it. Like, and it's different. Like, the main game I GM these days is Blades compared to Dungeons and Dragons, and I haven't done like a single like map keyed location moving place to place. That comes up a lot in D&D, not so much in Blades. Blades encourages more of that kind of improv, but like you do need to know what are the elements, who are the people that are going to come up. You can do some improv on the fly, but it's basically just like what I try to do is think ahead. What am I going to want to know on the fly if it comes up, and not want to have to pause and invent? Or what are like important details I don't want to forget in the moment, right? Sometimes there's like, if you have a particularly complicated scenario, you have a lot written down, you have maps, you have like timelines, things like that. That's appropriate for different scenarios. But I think for typical scenarios, it's bullet points of like, this is what happens first, like a couple of words about who's there, what the obstacles are, and any particular enemies they might run into, that kind of thing. I think the main thing I'm concerned about these days with prep is not wanting to forget details that are going to be important. Because I think that's what tends to happen with improv is I won't remember the thing that's like, oh, that was the whole point of having this here. And then it's awkward to go back.
I'll
No,
let
I
you guys
think
go.
the best question to ask first is how long of a game are you running, which will determine how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. One-shots, short-term campaigns like anywhere from 3 to 10 sessions, or ones that can go on for years. I know I try to do anywhere from 1 to 3 session games, and a lot of those end up just being bullet points. Because I know if I go down the novel path, I'll shove too much in there. And now it's just like, you know what, I might just be sitting here telling a story to my friends. Don't even bother rolling. But I think a great example would actually be my most recent game that I ran of Deadlands about 2-3 weeks ago. I actually had to rewrite that 3 times before I even got to the table, because there was the initial idea, then that idea kept expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. Oh gosh, there's now 14 pages of lore that I will be lucky if I touch 3 paragraphs of. What do I do? But for a one-shot, that does not work. I think the hardest one was my very first one-shot I tried to design called The Quest for the Emerald Pickle, where I turned a unicorn's bowels into a dungeon crawl.
That's very cool.
The idea came about on a very drunken night after hours at Ren Fair when I used to work there. But essentially, like, I had all these wonderful ideas. I had every organ assigned to be a different dungeon room to be crawled through, and like bladder mermaids, poop hoarding gargoyles, the whole shebang of everything has everything. But in a game that's anywhere from 3 to 5 hours long, that's not a lot of time. Even with 4 players, there's not enough time to cram all that in there. So always think about how long you want to play for. How long can you get people to play for? Because scheduling is the enemy of us all.
I'm so much the opposite of that mentality. I tend to write less for my campaigns and write a foul amount for my one-shots. I think the reason and my meaning behind it is that I like my one-shots to feel like they're a complete story. Like, it's not like it's open-ended or we have to rush through it. That's the worst feeling I always have, is if I have to rush the last section of my one-shot because we're almost out of time. So I usually write a gross amount. And usually it's in this, like, modular design of, like, okay, I can remove this, I can remove that, I can add in this if we're speeding up and players are killing it through these puzzles. But that's why I write an ungodly amount. Like, for my one-shots, I think they are, like, Word, if I put it in Word, maybe 6 pages, which for a one-shot should not exist. It is gross. For my campaigns, it's very much of like bullet points, and the only time I write an egregious amount is that if I'm writing a speech or I know what a character is going to say. I'm like, okay, how do I slip in some information without trying to wing it? Or I have a bullet point, how do I get across by saying this without, because I'm not good at that. I'm not good at coming with speeches or verbiage from characters who don't overindulge in conversation. I try not to do that, but I write more for my one-shots. It's gross.
I was gonna say I'm a cluster. I was like, I'm all 3, but
You're
it
all 3?
depends.
I thought you were more of a. Quite honestly, and you can prove me wrong, but I thought you were a novelist. I thought you wrote a lot.
The first one, well, you guys made. I mean, Nick didn't get to play in this one, but like the first one shot I ever wrote, you guys weren't supposed to play 8 hours. You were supposed to play like 4.
Yeah.
I wanted to cut you at 6, and you all said no. We're gonna kill that thing. So we played for 8 hours. But that was like a labor of love of separating lore and like what I actually wanted in the game. So like I go down a rabbit hole, unfortunately. Like for all of them that I've run, when we were doing Hades, it was like all the background of Hades and like different facets of being in the underworld and what to expect and fleshing that out. So I was like, if I really love the subject, I go down a rabbit hole. But it's generally of key points of, again, what you're gonna see, what you might find, who you're gonna run into, like all those important points. But like at the end, all of your guys's, I even told you at the end, all of your endings were improv because so much had changed throughout the game and the character had changed throughout the one shot that those endings were redone from what I originally thought they were.
So it sounds like
be.
your prep work is a bullet point. What took long was just combat.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's literally a mix because I'll have like whole paragraphs of stuff I thought I was gonna use and nope, didn't use that.
Yeah,
but that's okay. Dice tell the story.
When it comes to campaigns too, like I know we're talking about two separate environments. You know, one shots. My thought always on one shots is that it needs to mean something. Like Humphrey, we got lucky that we were able to play like an in-person game for Mysticon, and a lot of it was like I have to throw in role play, I have to throw in some combat, I have to throw in some skill check, some sort of skill challenge for my players, because there's my thought whenever it comes to one shots, it has to reflect all of, like, I know we're talking about specifically D&D, but for any time it needs to at least reflect all of the necessary components of a system. So if a system is like it's 90% roleplay and 5% combat and 5% skills, then that's how I'm going to present it.
I did buy a book for that one, so you know I did go down a pretty big rabbit hole.
Yeah. Campaigns, however, you can go for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then you can figure it out later. The story builds as you continue playing.
That's true.
Speaking of in-face games, face-to-face games, is there a different vibe when it comes from when you sort of compare home games and in-person games and live and produced games, both of which I think all of us have sort of experienced? I think, yeah, I can confirm all of us have experienced is, you know, playing at home or in person without kind of cameras or a microphone or lights or anything, the whole production value. And then that other half of having to present it to an audience.
Who wants to start on that?
I can do that one. So online games versus live. Live games, I mean, the fact that we all have our phones in our hands, it's very easy for us to kind of dink around on those, whether it's online or in person. When we're in person, I feel like that's lessened because it's like, no, I actually have to be here and participating. I actually got to put on a show and keep kind of my hands to myself, more or less. Versus, I can't tell you how many times that I've tried to play online, and I definitely see the distractibility of my players in their cameras. Don't say anything, don't give them any guff for it, because they're going to tune in when they're going to tune in. But it's also a great opportunity to throw something at their character. They go, oh, wait, what? I wasn't paying attention. Haha, that's right. The consequences of your actions. But I would say that online games, there's a little more flexibility. Like if you need to cut something out that may have been a little off or didn't quite fit, there's that option to kind of edit things in post. To kind of go, oh, okay, there was a moment there that doesn't sit well with anyone. We can just kind of chop that out. Versus in person, where things can get really heated when someone misunderstands something or someone says something that's a little off. Especially when some players' humor doesn't quite mesh. And that's also another thing is coaching your players for your games and making sure they're all on the same page of humor, or at least maturity, when something goes a little off. And it's like, okay, we're just going to roll with this now.
Distractibility is a real thing when it comes to digital games. I've been in that camp of, like, I think there was a good long time, well, a good chunk of time where I was just joining random one-shots online just because I like experiencing different GMs and how they run their games. Like, it's always fun to sort of experience that. And whenever you run into a GM who's maybe not as proficient, or at least not to the level that you were expecting, or at least is not performing in a certain way that you're not engaged in the story, I've been a culprit of pulling up my phone, and of course I've been lucky that my camera's not on, but never in a produced game. I think there is definitely a difference when it comes to online games and produced games, and then home games. Home games, you got my full unbridled attention. That's it's hard to pull away because everything is, I'm looking at the GM and they're looking at me, and I can tell when looking at me. If it's an online game, whether the camera is on or not, people are just, your mind's gonna wander if you're not engrossed, And then when it comes to produced games, there is this level of showmanship that has to exist. So you've always have to be like, I feel like I've talked to people where they're like, I felt like I was always on. And even recently, I spoke to a TTRPG VTuber who, she was mentioning, she goes, yeah, I'm talking to you right now. We're doing a VC call. She goes, I'm talking to you right now. And this isn't really like, it's my voice, but it's not my true relaxed voice. It's my sort of produced voice. And I was like, man, when people are in productions, it's never off. I get more tired after produced games.
How often do we get to play? Are we talking specifically in-person games when we say home games? Because I feel like that in-person home games are the dream that the hardest to execute and to keep going consistently, and the dream that is the exception a lot of times these days with the ease of, digital, just hopping on a call or something like this, right?
How long did we do our in-person game, Nick?
9 years?
Like 6 years?
I thought it was 9.
No, well, the game...
Well, yeah, it dropped off for like 2 years and then it resumed. So the timeline is weird. But it was what, like at least 4 years in person, something like that.
Yeah,
and then, COVID happened, but then like people moved away. And I feel like it's essentially preserved the same character going digital all the time, right? You have, there's elements that are a little bit different, but I think the main, like for me, I have to set that aside because that's just not something I can have happen anymore, really, is in-person games. So it's more about like just playing for fun with friends, a home game that is via audio call or video call versus a produced game. I stress way more about it when it's a produced game I'm running. I think as a player, like when I'm doing Legati, I think I can pretty much act like I would act if it wasn't a produced thing. And because it's your problem to figure out editing, or is this bad for the video or whatever. I try not to think about that stuff. Maybe I should be. But just playing the character and everything.
You hear this, Humphrey, man? I know for a fact that me and you are the one who create content on the regular. Good to know where our
hey man, I just rally the troops. I am the chaos coordinator. Be like, between 5 different people of like, what's your schedule? Oh, not this week. That week. This time.
Yeah.
Different states and different countries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, personally, I have found that sweet spot of like an every other week game is kind of ideal. That way, no one has to feel obligated or committed, like, oh my gosh, every Monday I can't do anything. But it's like, okay, there's a little more flexibility when it comes to scheduling. And for some folks, it's even once a month. And granted, it may take forever and a day to make any progress, but your characters don't know that.
I wish I had a statistic in front of me to tell me how many live streamed and recorded and produced games never finish, like never get to the to their conclusion. I wish I had that number in front of me.
100.
You think 100? Oh
we
man.
finished ours.
No, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah.
If I
High
were
up there,
to
though.
guess at a number, I would want to say 92% go unfinished.
Wow.
That feels right. Unfortunately, it feels right.
Mental health situations, moving. Like I myself, about 2.5 years ago, ended up having to move back in with my parents to help them around the house and deal with their health and everything. So it's a little hard to find the time and the brain space to commit to games for any length of time. Heck, even making content for TikTok is challenging because I don't know if I'm going to have that time to spare. And then, like you two, you say that you have kids. Kid or kid?
Kid.
Single, plural.
One.
Either way, that one extra individual complicates the schedule easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine how some folks deal with more than two and still have a life. Not that I'm saying that it can't happen. I just can't fathom how it happens. It's beyond me because I have no children.
I don't think you fathom it until it's there, and then you're like, what was life before this? Because even now, like, Nick knows, like, we generally don't show our son on camera for the most part. Every once in a while, you see a little hopper in the back. Like, that's one of the benefits I think of recording. I feel like recording is very comfortable while our game is produced. I'm comfortable with the people. So I don't think of it like overtaxing in that regard. I feel like when I do live streams or when what I call jumped into a game that I've never played before and it's live, then you feel me kind of tense up a little bit.
Live streams scare me now. Live streams, yeah, they scare me. Like when that's a good for distractors or like life things that kind of are very important, like a child. When we're playing like home games for like Nick is our GM. And he'll run his Blaze in the Dark campaign. And if our little one is still awake and running around, I'm less inclined to be like stressed about it because I'm like, all right, yeah, we're just playing for fun and we're enjoying ourselves. And this is sort of a story we like to engage in. When it comes to our recorded content, I'm not as stressed, but I am very much of like mindful constantly of not only what my players are doing, but the story, music, where we are, initiative, combat. Oh, what's in the background? Okay, he's not falling off of our couch. Great. Live streams, I don't think I can ever do live streams with you, Amber, as also a player. It's one of the parents has to be away
normally we're separate.
Because it just will not work.
Or somebody's here.
Yeah. So I think that's a good barometer when it comes to like the discussion of like what's the vibe versus when it comes to like home games, produced games, and even I think live games and produced games we can just sort of settle on those two. Is live games are a lot less stressful. It's a lot more free. You can make mistakes. You can like you were saying, like every other week is great. You can be flexible with it. Live streams, there's this, or recorded content, there's this precedent that you have to produce on a regular basis, meaning that you have to do it. There has to be a recording done this week because then we won't have content produced next week.
I like the bank idea. I wish we would have gone with that.
Yeah, banking content?
Yeah. Because then you're not as stressed about it. And you're not like, I don't have anything this week.
I'm surprised. And I figure that most live streamers are either they're doing it very late at night or they just don't, they don't have those distractors or life events that are behind them. And even still, like you were saying, Humphrey, eventually life is going to catch up and then some life event's going to happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, our game has to be disbanded.
Good luck, guys. Write your characters' eulogies, how you want them to live out the rest of their days, because who knows if we'll get there.
Yeah.
And just to kind of throw this out there, another category of streaming games, there's the pre-recorded and the actual like live.
Mm-hmm.
I like pre-recorded.
With my last one shot, I did pre-recorded because that gave me the time and flexibility to add the ambiance I wanted to have in those moments, or sound effects because I don't have one of those little stream keypad things because fancy people. Versus live playing is super stressful because as a DM, not only are you trying to keep your players engaged, you're trying to keep the story going, and you're trying to get the right music for the right mood at the right time, and hope you put something on repeat enough that's not going to pick you or someone else off because, neurospicy stuff.
Yeah.
There's that fine line of how stressed do I want to be? I kind of be stressed all week trying to add the sounds and ambience that I want, or I can be stressed for those 3 hours trying to do everything all at once. It's fine. My wife has actually volunteered to be my tech support during streams. She'll be playing in them, but she's the one running either OBS or Streamlabs.
Oh, that's
She's
nice.
the one managing the music. She's the one that, because we've been together for so long, she kind of knows where I want to be and what mood I want to set. I'm like, well, shoot, now I got to change things up to keep her on her toes, I guess, but this is really helpful that I don't have to worry about that stuff. Thank the gods for my wife some days.
Yeah, it's there's a level enjoyment that I don't think you can't get the level of enjoyment that home games provide with produced games. I think there needs to be a level of enjoyment of creative. You have to enjoy to create stuff to actually enjoy the. I think the reason why I'm saying it this way is that I don't want people to be like, all right, well, I make my actual play, or I do my live stream, and I do it because of factors that shouldn't be prevalent to you. Like, you shouldn't make your actual play to be rich, or you shouldn't make your actual play to be famous. You should do it because you like enjoying content and telling stories, which could also be fulfilled by just doing a home game. Not to say that I don't want... There should be a love to create beyond just storytelling. Which I think most people I've met who do make content creation online, they already have that sort of quote of oh, I got really into film, or I got really into audio work, or I was an artist and now I'm doing this. It's usually there's some sort of creative outlet behind it that drove content creation. So yeah, there's
Passion for your project.
There's got to be a passion for it, yeah. I don't have a good segue for this, but we were talking about Blaze in the Dark. What? I'm the master of segues. We were talking about Blaze in the Dark, and I know we've talked about D&D for kind of most of this conversation, but what is the thought process of, hey, I've gotten, let's play something else. Let's try a new system. What is everyone's to-go-to when it comes to introducing players to new systems? Do you drop something at their lap and go, try this out, we're going to try this out next week? Or is it sort of a slow, mild, let's dip our feet into it, are you guys willing to try this experience? Has anyone ever had that experience?
I'm like, Nick.
Now, I do want to make one final point from our last topic of in-person games.
Sure, yeah.
Potlucks.
Oh, yeah.
I miss the potlucks. Because there was always one guy at every table that bought the bucket of red vines, and we were all sick for the next week trying to eat it.
Hell yes.
But, someone's cooking, someone's bringing stuff. I do miss that a lot. But now to actually get back into the current topic, I like to introduce people to Deadlands. It's my favorite alternative system. I love the way that it is built to where, there is no min-maxing. If you min-max, you're going to have a hard time playing this game because it's built on flaws. It is built on your character's got some shit going on, and you're going to roll for it and find out just how bad it is. I have found when introducing players to a new system, it's to cast a broad, wide net. First off, because Deadlands is a supernatural horror western, I've got to really send that to specific people that I know that are into that sort of thing. If you're into the setting, they're more likely to be in the game, as opposed to someone who's only done D&D fantasy or Shadowrun. They might not be as inclined. They might be willing to give it a shot. And also to make it really easy, it's very helpful that Critical Role did Undeadwood a few years ago, and I saved those videos before they got removed.
No
So I'm like, okay,
way.
guys, you want to know how this game goes? Here, watch this at your own leisure. Let me know what you think about it, and get back to me. So I don't have to sit there for 10 to 3 hours trying to explain how it all works.
That's fair.
Video examples are great. But also creating cheat sheets.
Oh, that.
While
Yeah.
Deadlands makes perfect sense to me because I've been playing it on and off for the last decade, it doesn't click as well with new players. So my wife and I have had to kind of boil down the players' books, the character creations into our own individual Word documents that are follow-along instructions, and to just kind of dumb it down a little bit. Because the original books use a lot of Western jargon, which if you don't know what half that is, you're going to have a hard time understanding the books. And just keeping things to the basics, the simplicities, and not going to lie, a few homebrew rules just to simplify things in the books that are a little number crunchy, and you don't want to scare people away with math as much. So that's what I got.
I think that's great advice. I like the idea of cheat sheets a lot. I think you want to, I think the usual thing we're thinking of is a group that's been playing D&D for a long time, and that's role playing games as far as that group is concerned. And maybe the DM wants to move on. Maybe one or two players want to try something new, but not everybody has all the buy-in. So any ways you can reduce friction through the use of things like cheat sheets and hand-holding and everything early on is really good. Definitely like a couple schools of thought on the approach. Like, do you do something that's one step away from D&D? Do you do like, we're going to try Pathfinder, or, there's a lot of that are, you're still rolling a D20, or basically, I guess Daggerheart would be one step away from D&D, right? I've thought a lot about like the old school Renaissance, old school Essentials kind of games. I think it might be a problem to step from D&D to those, because I think a lot of players will buck up against the like, there's not enough defined, my characters can't do enough, the extra lethality of those games. I think those are potential friction points. If I had to make one recommendation, I do think it's a move from D&D, even try a one-shot or a mini campaign of something that is very fiction first, that is very story first. I mean, Blades and Forged in the Dark games are like that. You can even go heavier narrative, like we recently did The Zone and other things. Like, introduce players to the fact that there's this wide world of ways that games can work and role-playing games can work. And a lot of them, I would say maybe most of the D&D alternatives, place more like narrative power and control with the players. So you want to introduce that idea sort of gently and see who bites on it, see how they approach it. Yeah, keeping it low friction, and also really just understanding your players, understanding like, if you're going to stay with the same group or some of the same players, like what about a new game is going to appeal to them? Is this a tactician person that is very crunchy? Like, if your new system has no crunch, it's just going to be hard for them to get on board with it. Some people, like, you can describe the setting and the flavor. Like if you have somebody who really likes the like Weird West or whatever, then that you can get them in through that angle, right? There's a lot of stuff in these alternative systems that you don't discover till you're playing, so you can't exactly like bait the hook with those things. But understand what your players like and try to pick a game, and maybe not like say this is what we're playing forever going forward, right? Like use a light hand. If it's not a good fit, that's okay. But also you want to do at least like 3 or 4 sessions and get over the like initial learning curve before you can fairly judge it.
My method when it comes to...
And also...
Oh, no, feel free.
Sorry, just one more point. When introducing players to new systems, I am very heavy-handed on, okay, if you're playing this, we are going to have a Session 0 mini one-shot between you and me, So you can understand what you're doing, how the mechanics work. Let's try some things out. The world is your oyster, and my sandbox is for you to mess with, sort of thing. Ideally, to try and build it in a scenario that relates to their character. But sometimes it's like, okay, cool. Like with the Weird West, like, great, you're in the middle of a shootout. Good luck. Or, oh no, you're in the middle of the woods and you have to fight a Wendigo. Oh no, whatever will you do? Oh no, Little Miss Muffet got tied to the train tracks. Have at it. Just to kind of build their own comfort and familiarity with it, because even the most experienced of players can stop and go, wait, I'm supposed to do what again?
Right.
I've been there.
And it also helps out a lot because my wife has played Deadlands with me like the entire time I've been playing it. It helps to have her there if she can answer questions faster than I can, or if I'm so wrapped up in the story and what needs to happen next, I don't hear the question. She goes, wait, hold on, Humphrey, we got to address this. Wait, what? Oh, right. You don't know what you're doing. Okay, let's address this. Let's do some learnings.
I tend to lean towards when I
Definitely
introduce
helps out.
new systems to players or parties. Like I'm in this advantageous position where I have a server where I have played numerous one-shots and campaigns with people who, when I provide them with a new one-shot or campaign idea, I am in this advantageous position where people are like, well, I'll try it out because you're doing it. I tend to lean towards systems that are damn easy to learn. Like, there's very little friction. I think the one system that I can probably like chalk up to that is the probably like Kids on Bikes. Or the Kids on Brooms, kind of the same system, just with different theming and narratives. Is if I can explain the rules in 2 paragraphs or bullet points, then that's my introduction to players. It's like, hey, listen, I would love to run this system. It's super easy. I'm gonna tell a story. Hopefully, you very much enjoy it. Here are the bullet points. Does this look super simple? It should look super simple for you to play. And if I can make it even simpler, like I've done it where I've gutted GURPS Lite, the GURPS system, where I just hollowed that stuff out. And I was like, here are 3 things that we're playing. And even like when I was mentioned before, Kids on Bikes, we weren't even playing it fully by how the rules read it. I was like, we're ignoring 50% of this. And we're going to play it, homebrew is great. So I think I like to introduce players into systems that are damn well easy to play. And if they like it, then I can start introducing something a little bit more that has something more to chew on. And we move from there. But it is sometimes hard to get people to try different things. Like a really great example is I was talking to a content creator who was looking for help with GMing and was like, hey, do you want to be like a guest GM? And I was like, well, I really would love to run this, for your personal game, this little Hag mini series that ironically Amber and Nick are in right now. And I'm like, it's very simple, easy to run, it's very easy to understand, and there's not a lot of prep work. It's just like I hand you a sheet and we play. And there was some hesitancy to jump in it because they're like, I had a character idea of what I wanted to play. I don't want to play something different. So sometimes it is hard to get people to play something new because they already have this vision of theirs to go, well, I want my level 4 monk and my level 16 warlock to show up, and I want to play it from 1 to 20. It is sometimes an uphill battle to get people away from D&D.
I think it depends on your group. I mean, like, I trust whatever Nick throws at us that it's going to be fun because Nick generally vets that stuff. But I'm more of an open-minded player in that aspect of like, I'm going to assume because you've played so many games with me and that vice versa that we're going to probably land on the same page.
Didn't you play it in a one-shot that was a different system?
Oh, yeah. That's why, I feel that. Like, I had 2 days to memorize 185 pages and I did my damnedest. But, it was a lot. But I just kind of asked questions as we were going, and I think as we played, we kind of fleshed more out. because the GM actually is the one that created that game, like that TTRPG, like they hand wrote that verbatim, and they were like, I actually needed somebody to ask questions because you were asking questions that I haven't been asked before. So that was helpful, and I was like, I'm just making sure I'm rolling what I'm supposed to be rolling because, you know, that was a lot to read and just hope for the best on a live action play.
Yeah. I think it is the summary of all this is that it could be very difficult to get your players to try something new. But if you want to try it, obviously go by something that you yourself are passionate with. I think it all stems to the GM having to learn the system and go, yes, I think my players will enjoy this. And then sort of hitting that mark. It is, unfortunately, still a lot of the heavy work is on the GM. And it's kind of hard to avoid that. I don't think there's been one time, I would put a wager, not knowing everyone's background in terms of their entire TTRPG experience, I would put a wager and some money down that I doubt that there's ever been a point where one or two character or people have gone up to you and went, in your existing parties going, I want to play this system now. I don't think that's ever happened. Is everyone starting to think back? Is everyone starting to reminisce, see if that's ever happened or not? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Not with the same group. I think whenever I try to do a different system, I try to cultivate a new table. Just because, you know, not everyone's going to be into supernatural horror Western. Just like I'm not always into Shadowrun. Love the aesthetics, hate the number crunching. But actually, I do have a small horror story to share in relation to handing someone a character sheet and say, here's what you're playing, good luck, versus allowing them to come up with what they want. This was very early in my TTRPG experience. The game, I can't remember the name of the game anymore, but it was like a Harry Dresden-esque kind of setting. And I had a couple weeks to come up with, like, okay, I've got like this gruff, middle-aged wizard, ex-enforcement sort of thing. Like, I had it all figured out, his mannerisms, and just the way he wanted to sound and everything. I get to the game itself, and the DM goes, oh, actually, I need you to play this, and slides me a sheet of a early 20s Latina woman that has a superiority complex. I'm going, that is like the opposite of everything I designed. What the hell and why am I being handed this?
Was there a reason given?
I never actually got one. But me being a theater kid, I was like, okay, this is my role now. I'm going to lean into the sassy, bitchy Latina as best as I can. I'm going to be a pain in the ass for this DM. And never return to that game.
Compliance, what is it? There's a term for
malicious
it,
compliance.
Malicious compliance.
Yep.
You got it.
So
I'm gonna be everything you need.
There's a fine line. There's a fine line between allowing your characters to have some flexibility and just going, nope, this is what you got. Good luck. It's rude.
I know we're slipping back into previous conversations, but something I just want to add that sort of popped in my head in terms of one-shot prep work and just running a one-shot in general. If it's a one-shot, I don't care as much about the rules.
Yeah.
Nor am I that strict about, like, if someone would be like, I want to throw a dagger at a rope and have it cut the piano and land in a swing arc and knock this person off the cliff, and be like, go for it. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I mean, I rather you have fun with this attempt than me go, no, my bad guy. It's like player agency is fun in one shots. When it's a campaign, things are a little bit more tense. There should be a little bit more of a feeling of finality.
Of your actions have consequences.
Your actions have consequences. But that's me slipping back into previous conversations. But yes, I think that's where we're going to call today's Above Table. Thank you so much for joining us. And Humphrey, thank you so much for jumping on in and sharing your stories and experience. Yeah. Once again, where can people find you?
I got plenty more.
Love it.
Your best bet is going to be Fortuna's Favor on TikTok. It is the one and only grumpy elderly satyr you're going to find. And from there, you can find me everywhere else through the link tree, which will take you to YouTube, Twitch, Instagram,
All the things.
I gotta share a story about
all the
you,
things.
Humphrey.
Let's go, all the things. Sure.
I was on a call with the very amazing Dyson Autism, wonderful creator, and we were talking about a project that we're working on. I'm not going to divulge too much about it, just keeping it on the DL. But we were talking about people we've worked with and communicated with and engaged with, and I mentioned you, and he was like, Humphrey, the name doesn't ring a bell. And I was like, he dresses like a satyr, like a grumpy old satyr. And he goes, I know him. And I was like, yeah, I know. It's iconic. I know. It's a very noticeable and memorable character.
Man, how the circles close in, you know?
Oh, boy. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And we'll check you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.